Okay guys, I've got a nice white layer of paint here on my rock, and I've got it dripping over here. I'm going to move the rock onto another container like this, so if I have any dripping that happens here, it doesn't dilute this paint with color, because I'll reuse this fluid white paint to start more rocks. So I've got this off to the side. Now I've got to prep my colors. I've already got them mixed. I'll show you how they were mixed here. Okay, so right now I'm prepping my paints. I have mixed together my acrylic paint, and then I have a water and Flow Aid mixture here. I've got the Liquitex Flow Aid, so I diluted this with some water and added it. And I don't quite measure because I don't want a bunch of paint stuck in my measuring stick, so I just kind of add paint, add the Flow Aid slowly, because you can always add more of that, but you don't want to have to add more paint. You'll end up with too much. So I just want it at a consistency where you can kind of scoop it up on your stick still, and it will kind of stay on the top, but when you fold it over, it kind of drips off, okay? So I've got all three of my colors mixed up and ready here to go. And then now that they're mixed, we're gonna add a little bit of each color onto, I've got just this little jar lid, and I'm just gonna lay them on here together, all three colors that I've got. I'm trying not to get a bunch on my parchment paper, like so. Now this isn't quite pour painting, but it's kind of a similar process. This is just a fun way to kind of change it up a little bit. So I've got my three colors. These are all mixed with Flow Aid, so they're thinner, they're gonna run a little bit. I'm gonna use, this is just a glue stick tip. You want something that's not gonna absorb the paint. So you don't want to do this with like anything cardboard or paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dab right into my paints, right in the center, all three of those colors, and I'm going to place my circle on my rock, just like that. And I'm going to dab right back into my paint and place my circles on my rock. And see, since the paint has the white fluid layer, these are going to move on my rock, just in that pour paint kind of style. So I'm going to make a line all the way across, and as I'm doing, I can turn my colors a little bit if I want to. And if you get too much white on this, you can just kind of dab it off on a piece of paper, or if you've got a cloth. I want to get plenty of that color on there, and we're just going to kind of dab around and let that fluid white underneath do its job. Like that. It's really going to start to pull, and I'm just, oh, you can't see that. I'm just wiping the tip off every once in a while when it gets too much white on there, because I want it to pick up the color. And see, where do we want to put this? Right in there like that. I'm just working right off those same colors. And you can really get some fun lines and techniques, because when you pick up, see, you pick up and you get those streaks in there as well. Get a couple over here, and a couple more over here. And really, we're not using that much of our colored paint, so we're going to be able to get a lot more rocks without wasting a whole lot of paint. But you're still able to use a lot of fun colors that don't have to be able to mix, because we barely had anything drip over the edge. Really think I like where we're at here. So you can kind of let it sit for a second, let it do its thing. It's going to kind of flow over those edges. If you want to, you can get down in there with a straw and kind of blow things around a little bit if you want. I kind of just like to let it do its own thing. But we're going to do another one here in just a second. So I will coat my next rock with white. So I'm going to swap containers. We're going to let this drip a little bit more. Just slide it off to the side. So this is my white. I like to keep my white and color separate again, because I'm catching all this white paint underneath, and I can put it right back into my pour cup as soon as I'm done. So here again, just place the stone right on here. And I've just, this white paint, I've mixed it up just like the colors with a little bit of Flow Aid and water mixture. And the Flow Aid just helps keep the integrity of the paint a little bit better. If you can add just water to your paint as well. as long as you don't add too much, and it will work okay. So I like to get it on there and let it drip just a little bit. You want those extra little bits to come off. So you'll get a toothpick up here every once in a while. You'll get a little lump here. I don't think that's a bubble. I think that's a lump. So you can kind of fish those out of there. I probably need a new batch of white paint, or I didn't stir it up good enough. But you can easily get in there with the toothpick. Same with the bubbles. You can give it a little bit of a blow. We'll pop some of those bubbles for you. There we go. But we want to work with this while it's still wet, because that's what causes the colors to really kind of move around on the top of your rock. Like, that's what makes the beautiful pour painted look. So this is pretty well dripped most of its little ones off. So again, I'm going to rotate my bins here. And I'm going to carefully move my pour painted rock. Try to grab it kind of a little bit on the underside. Might be the trickiest part, is getting it off of your container here. And I place them right on parchment paper, and you can kind of dab, dab, dab. That's another reason, if you grab it while it's still a little bit wet, you can kind of dab the spot you grabbed it, and it will kind of fill back in with that wet paint. All right, so we've got that out of the way. See, and look, barely any paint there at the bottom, which is fabulous because we don't have to waste all of our paint. You can buy white in bulk and create rocks like this and get that pour paint look without as much colored paint. All right, so we'll do this process one more time. I'll speed it up this time, but that way you can see another rock. So for this one, I ended up a little bit thicker here than I want it to be, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple blows with my straw. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white paint, and yep, sure enough, this is what I'm going to do with my finger. I'm just going to go right into this Flow-Aid paint, drop it right there on top, tap, 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 just like that. And then I'm going to add one more dab of my color in there. I just didn't like, it was getting a little bit muddy on me. And that's going to happen when you're using a lot of colors that don't actually blend together. So, you know, if you've got blue, green, and pink, eventually, if you dab too much, you could get a little bit muddy. So I'm just going to go ahead and get some fresh dabs on there. There. I like that better. And again, just play until you're happy with it. There's no right or wrong way for these to look when they're done. So I'm good with that one there. So I'm going to do a few more rocks, and I will show these off to you when I'm done here at the end. So here is my stash. They're still drying. We ended up doing one half and half. I poured a little bit of the pink in there, and then I kind of liked doing the colors separated like so. I did also do one with only pink. Had a little bit more pink left over, so we did a couple with just only pink. That's the first one that we did there. Look at all those fun colors and variations. When they're dry, I can really show them off to you guys, because I can pick them up and show all the unique drips and lines once they're dry. Don't forget to subscribe.